Welcome to the Pop Culture Lab, where we break down your favorite movies and TV shows. This week, we're reviewing The Marvels. Connor, let's get in the lab. It feels right. That guitar riff.
What is that? What does that smell in the air I smell? Oh, sorry, that was me.
Farted.
Man, it is, to quote you the other day, it is good to be back talking about watching a Marvel movie. It's been a long time. Maybe not that long in the grand scheme, but we haven't enjoyed them as much recently, and so I think you and I just felt really hyped and really good to just get in the theater together, be excited about a Marvel movie, and, you know, just do that, which gave birth to this podcast.
Exactly. So, this is the kind of experience that led us to start this podcast in the first place, so something about it just felt right. It gave us the oomph to get back in the lab, record. I'm hyped to be here.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, it's honestly kind of slim pickings in the world of movies and
kidding.
TV.
Yeah, like, it is rough out there.
I don't know about you. I'm just sitting there at night, just like scrolling into nothingness. I don't know, doom scrolling for sure.
Yeah. And I mean, it's even worse at the theaters. I mean, that's the experience for the home movie watcher. But if you go out to theaters, there are very few things to choose from right now.
Well, true. Yeah, I'm finding both. Like, because there's been less released in theaters as well, there's less coming out digitally, and I just feel like there's been a major slowdown in the content. But in good news, the writers
strikes are done.
The actor strike. Sorry, writers. The actor strike is finally done. So,
Yep. Good news for sure. We're definitely not gonna see the impact of that for a while. I have started to think that maybe these studios are holding on to some of the projects because they know that there's this lag time with the strikes and everything.
Even in terms of actors promoting work, they can't do that right now. So if there's something that is really big and you're holding on to it, you really might want that extra promotion. Although there have been some big name things released during this time where actors were notably not allowed to promote, and some of those movies may have suffered as a result. But
for sure. Well, that's probably a good segue to get us into what we have been watching. So tell me about it.
What's on the old TV at home? I also got a new TV. I'm very excited about it.
Yeah. I've been taking a look.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. My favorite thing about it, you want to know?
Sure.
It has these little panels in the back that you can pop off, and they cover like all the wiring.
Cords and stuff.
Yeah. All the ports.
Aesthetically
and so it's just this
pleasing.
Perfectly sleek black thing on the. Yeah, it's very nice.
Right up your alley.
Very well designed. And apparently there's like a subwoofer kind of thing built into the back. Like apparently it has really good speakers. I have it hooked up to something else.
Sure.
So, but interesting. So I have been watching, sir, not on my new TV. This is all on my older TV. Fall of the House of Usher.
Right.
Which is on Netflix. Mike Flanagan horror things, I guess. I mean, I don't think they are particularly
Based
scary.
on the Edgar Allan Poe, right?
Yeah, I mean, loosely. I guess there's an old movie with Vincent Price that's actually based off of the Edgar Allan Poe story. But this is more of like, it's loosely based on that. There's kind of the same structure, but it's more based on just the general works of Edgar Allan Poe, apparently. I have not read much, if at all. So basically each episode is like a kind of a, like pays homage, I think, to a different Poe story, and in the show it's like each member of this family kind of gets killed off for basically the sins of the family / a deal made with the devil, and so it's like basically you're just watching in each episode as each one's killed off, and it's all told from the perspective of the kind of patriarch character of the family, and he's like telling and confessing everything to this lawyer. But it was pretty good.
Liked it?
I did. Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's super scary. I think if you don't have too much of an appetite for horror, you can still kind of handle it. I mean, my wife watched Haunting of Hill House and really, really enjoyed it. And again, doesn't really love horror, doesn't like to be scared. But it was great. Yeah, Mike Flanagan, I think, always does a great job. This one you could really feel in terms of the writing, like the Edgar Allan Poe influence. Also with the writing, Mike Flanagan tends to get a little carried away with himself. He'll go on these big... Every character has these big monologues, these big long speeches, and it can be a little talky, preachy. His some of his older work, and like in terms of movies, is not really that way. I always tell people to see the movie Oculus, like so good, but that one is actually scary. And I recently rewatched, actually, a little tangent, the like director's cut, a 3-hour version of Doctor Sleep, which is the sequel to Stephen King, to The Shining. And Mike Flanagan directed that, and it was really, really good. Like, honestly, the director's cut was even better. So
I think I heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd seen the like theatrical version before, but I'd never seen the director's cut. And anyway, long story short, Flanagan is really good. Should I continue, or do you want to trade off with one that you've been watching?
We can trade off a little bit. I've been continuing my my Bong Joon-ho exploration.
Yeah.
And so I recently watched Memories of Murder, which is one of his older movies. Came out in the 90s, I want to say, in Korea. I mean, it was before Bong Joon-ho was a household name, certainly overseas. And so it's about a real-life series of murders that happen in like a small town in Korea. And South Korea it's not the kind of place where they have, a long history of serial killers in the way that America does. So it was a much bigger deal. It was much more unique at the time that this happened. And it was an interesting movie. It had been hyped up so highly to me before I watched it that I wonder if that's...
Alex, are.
Yeah, I wonder if it set it up a little bit for not failure, but I guess I kind of miss like what was so exceptional about it. I thought it was a perfectly fine movie, but there just wasn't anything that really stood out for me, I guess.
Sort of like very solidly made, but
yeah, it was interesting and compelling, and I thought the characters were good. The main character is like this detective, and he appears in some of Bong Joon-ho's other movies as well, and so I recognized him. But obviously this was 30 years ago. I mean, so it's the same actor, but in a very different time in his life. It was good. Have you seen it, Memories of Murder?
No.
I would recommend it. I mean, I think it's still worth watching, but I guess it left me a little cold.
Yeah, you say you weren't like emotionally gripped even by it?
Not particularly, no. And it was showing its age, I think, a little bit, which is not really fair, but it was made on a much smaller budget than certainly Parasite and Snowpiercer. I mean, both of those movies had much exponentially higher budgets. And so you could see the peeling wallpaper on this one a little bit more, I think.
And that may bother you more.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I think the particular individual who recommended it to you may come from a similar camp that I was in, kind of like with being like learning, studying film.
Yeah.
Because it's like the film nerds thing, old movies, and I feel like you're not going to pick up and watch some 70s movie just for the kicks and giggles of it, so. Yeah,
you took the words right out of my mouth. I mean, like, for film nerds, that aesthetic doesn't necessarily bother you. Whereas for me, it does take me out a little bit. I like the polish and the sheen. And I think a fair criticism would just be to say that Bong Joon-ho has significantly developed as a filmmaker since this movie came out. Like, this was one of his earlier movies. And it was a good one, but I can see how he has progressed in his polish and sheen, and yes, production value since then.
And he's gotten more money.
Exactly.
I mean, that never hurts.
Yeah.
But
it was good. It was a good movie.
Nice.
And it left it very unsettled, which I think was a good way to leave the movie. As I said, it was based on a true story. And at the time that the movie came out, the serial killer had never been caught. It was like a cold case.
Wow.
And he has since been caught since this movie came out.
Wow.
But the ending leaves it very open-ended because the serial killer was still at large, which I thought
cool.
was kind of a cool, interesting touch.
Yeah. Did you watch this one alone?
I watched it with Henry. Yeah.
Did you like it?
Yeah, I think he liked it. Yeah.
Or felt similarly?
Yeah, I think we're certainly going to continue our Bong Joon-ho rewatch. So we have Okja and what was the other one?
I don't know. I'd be very curious to hear what you think of Okja, though.
Yeah. The other one is The Host.
Yeah, I haven't seen that either.
Which also has really high praise. I think Quentin Tarantino named The Host like one of his favorite movies of all time.
Did he?
Yeah.
I know Taxi Driver is one of his favorites. I would watch that with you. I'd be curious when you might watch
The
that.
Host? Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. I've always wanted to watch that. So, I got one next. Nyad
Oh, you were telling me about this.
on Netflix.
Yeah.
It was pretty good. It's a true story. This Olympic swimmer. Again, I'm gonna blank on her name. I mean, her name is effectively Nyad. I think that may be her last name. I can't even remember. That may just be like a nickname. But she was this really, really incredible Olympic swimmer her whole life. And there was, oh gosh, I should really investigate it.
Naiads are Greek water nymphs.
Yeah,
So I'm guessing
yeah.
that's a reference. It's
might-
not her real name.
Yeah, Diana Nyad.
Oh, it is her name.
I thought so. But they kept saying in the movie, like, that, you know, her
Perfectly
dad was
named.
like, you know, yeah, this is like it's a water nymph name. And, you know, this is like in your blood to do this, basically.
Right.
But it is a true story. And I don't remember exactly like the distance that she swims, but it's, you know, she could swim like the English Channel for breakfast.
Yeah.
It's not that. It's way more than that. It's like, I don't know, 10, 20 of those. Something crazy, like
Yeah.
a really far distance. And I think at the time she did it, she may have been the only one who actually did, because they kept saying it's like not even humanly possible to actually do this. And so she, like I said, was an Olympic swimmer in her youth. But in where this movie picks up, she's 60 years old, and she's got this really close friend. Jodie Foster plays that character, and Annette Bening is the Nyad character. So both incredible actors right off the bat. For me, that was the highlight of the movie for sure.
Right.
And at age 60, she decides to reattempt this incredible swim that she had not been able to accomplish even in her athletic peak as an Olympic swimmer. And so she just like dedicates her mind to do this. And I think it takes her like 3 years. I mean, she tries like 5, 6, 7 times, maybe even, like, unsuccessfully. Things happen to her. She puffs up. I mean, all the time, like, she's literally like full of water and like salty, and she gets stung by jellyfish in one. And but she eventually, you know, accomplishes it. And it's an incredible true story, just that you can do anything at any age, really. Again, great performances. I felt like they could have added a little more drama to the actual swimming scenes. They were very matter of fact in a way. I mean, they were exciting. Like I said, there was a jellyfish thing, and that had tension and excitement to it. But I didn't like feel the distance. You know, I feel like it could have been shot in such a way, or even written in such a way, that just makes you feel like, you know, imagine sitting on a boat while someone is you're just monitoring them, and they're swimming for like 3 days straight or whatever it takes, just hours and hours and nonstop swimming. And then they come over to the boat and they eat through a tube and just keep swimming and swimming and swimming. And it's like,
just keep swimming, just keep swimming.
I just somehow feel like they glossed over a little bit, just like how unreal to attempt that even is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I don't know, like just what it actually feels like to swim for 3 days. Maybe it's just incomprehensible. And so they're like, you know what? Forget it.
Yeah.
But it's just going to look like swimming in this movie.
Yeah. Who knows? I mean, not having seen it, but it does sound like it's a story of like human endurance and resilience. And it's also kind of about, you know, that even later in life you can not give up on your goals or your dreams.
Exactly.
And you can still accomplish those things, which are both very American ideas, I think.
That's true. That's true.
So I'm curious. This sounds like a great movie. It sounds like an incredible story.
It was a pretty good movie. I mean, I'd probably give it like a 7 out of 10.
Okay.
Maybe 7.5 for like fine performances. But again, I felt a little let down by the lack of oomph or just drama. Yeah, there was a lack of drama. Yeah, dramatic tension. There just was something missing in the actual swimming scenes. The stuff between Annette Bening and Jodie Foster was really, really solid. Reese is Ifans. I can never say that guy's name right. You know what I'm talking about?
I do.
He's the lizard in Spider-Man.
Sure.
He's all sorts of stuff, but he's in it, and he actually does really good. He's kind of a basic actor a little bit. He really kind of steps it up. Like emotionally, he does really good. And there's a lot about the movie that works, and it's paced pretty well, and they don't spend too much time dawdling. And it's not this like weepy, feel sorry for me, or like when she fails, it's not this weep fest. It's really a movie of like determination, and the movie kind of keeps driving forward to that pretty well. But yeah, there's just some drama missing in the actual swimming, which feels like such a missed opportunity in a way that it just kind of. Yeah. I did really enjoy it, but I was like, all right, well, I don't know. I should feel like I did that Olympic swim. Right, or like whole, you know what I mean?
That
like
sense of triumph. Yeah.
I should be exhausted watching that, you know. Right. But so I didn't feel that way. But
well, fair enough. Yeah. Good recommendation though.
It's on Netflix. Yeah.
I'll throw one more out here, which was just that I watched Best in Show with my girlfriend who had never seen it before. Of course, it's a classic. Christopher Guest.
Maybe the best one.
One of the most eminently quotable movies out there, I would say.
100%.
I was doing a little bit of reflecting. It's been a long time since I've seen this, like 10, 15 years or something. And I still remembered a lot of the scenes, but a lot of the details had kind of, I'd forgotten. And one thing that really stood out to me this time was that there are a lot of shows or movies since Best in Show came out that have tried to kind of they're either like outright like versions of it, or they have kind of taken that idea in a new direction. And I'm thinking of shows like Arrested Development or It's Always Sunny, these kind of character-driven, idiosyncratic characters who find themselves in these interesting situations, right?
Particularly mockumentary style.
Yeah. I mean, like, obviously those are a little bit those are characters, like fictional characters, in a way that like Best in Show is a little bit more restrained. That's what really stood out to me, was that this is much more restrained than these kind of zany characters that you get in more modern interpretations of this idea. Like, Best in Show is like, it's funny, but it's funny because they're people you could actually imagine meeting. Whereas, if you watched Arrested Development or Curb Your Enthusiasm, they're kind of over-the-top caricatures. And I mean, there is some caricature, but these characters in Best in Show, like, I can so imagine them in real life.
Like, particularly the couple with the hyperactive couple.
The lawyers, yeah.
With the squeaky toys.
Yeah, the Bumblebee.
Yeah, the Bumblebee. Those characters in particular are, like, scary real.
Yeah.
In a way, you know? Like, you're, like, laughing, like, ha ha, oh, wait, no, that's my cousin. Like,
right.
You know, not literally, no, Heather, I love you. But, like, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? You do know those people. Yeah.
And all of them are. But I think it's definitely a directorial style. And my girlfriend, she liked it. But I think she was maybe expecting something a little bit more like laugh out loud, like uproariously funny. And they're funny characters, like just like kind of weird idiosyncratic characters, but there's not a ton of laugh out loud scenarios.
No, but it's I don't know. But there's many things like that. I mean, I didn't find like Monty Python and the Holy Grail. I did not find that to be particularly laugh out loud. Probably the first one or even two times that I saw it. Now I think it is, because I just have this association with it. But there are so many things like that when you, upon further examination, they're like geniusly written, impeccably performed.
Right.
You know, like, no, it's not laugh out loud funny, but it's like brilliantly, astonishingly, hilariously funny in like you said, in an understated way.
Yeah.
Like in a restrained way.
I feel like just the popular style of comedy has shifted in the 20 or 30 years since this movie came out, right? Things have, there is this escalation of the character driven stuff where now it is much more out there performances versus this much more restrained, careful, nuanced kind of comedy.
Well, yeah, you make a great point. I mean, yeah, The Office is a great example, and It's Always Sunny. It may be, you may have finally articulated the thing about it, those things that does not appeal to me.
Yeah,
like, I can handle those characters even when they are kind of unlikable. I just can't handle them when they're just played too over the top, inauthentically. There's an authenticity to all the characters in Best in Show, or A Mighty Wind, or what have you.
Kind of an earnestness almost.
Yes,
yeah.
And I need that in those kind of idiosyncratic characters. Even Wes Anderson movies, there's an earnestness, and there's this kind of cynicism about It's Always Sunny and The Office that I just, that's what I think I can't kind of align with. But I mean, that's a great observation,
Well, thank you. Yeah, it was fun for me to watch it over again. I mean, obviously, I wish I had his name in front of me, but the commentator of the dog show, Fred Willard.
Yeah.
He is so funny, and apparently he improv'd almost all of his lines during that whole thing. Yeah, apparently. And
he's worth watching that movie almost just for him alone. Like,
and there is a moment, I had forgotten this, but he doesn't even appear until after the halfway mark of the movie.
Yeah,
they spend the whole first half of the movie introducing you to these different characters, like the people who are actually competing in the dog show.
You don't actually get to the show till
halfway through, and then the moment he shows up on screen, it is hilarious.
I know
he is a captivating actor, and really the world is a sadder place without him.
Is he passed away?
He passed away recently, in the last year or two.
Did he really?
Yeah. But shout out to Fred Willard. Excellent performance.
His delivery is just like pitch perfect.
Right. Again, because this is the kind of thing where, as somebody I'm a big sports fan of football in particular, and there's this type of football announcer who are these, like, they're grandpas, they're in their 60s or probably 70s, and like they have they're starting to lose their filter, or they have already lost it, and they say some things that are just make you arch your eyebrows a little bit, and that's exactly what Fred Willard is doing in this. It's just it's so great.
Very true.
Yeah.
Oh, what a classic, man. Love that movie.
Yep.
I did the same thing fairly recently before she was my wife. I just was like, you gotta watch this movie.
This. So now our homework is to watch This Is Spinal Tap, which you have not seen.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And you haven't either?
I have seen it, yeah. Very, very funny.
I do need to see it.
But we're going to have a little movie night. We talked to Nate about it, so we're going to go down into his movie theater, his little private movie theater, and watch that.
That's a good one. All right, we can cap it there.
Yep. Let's get into the Marvels.
Jawohl.
All right. So obvious spoiler warning here for our frequent listeners. You already know this, but if you're a new listener here, we are going to spoil the heck out of this movie. So if you have not seen it and you don't want to be spoiled, this is your warning.
We don't have any new listeners. I don't post on Instagram anymore.
So the Marvels brings together 3 superheroes from Marvel's recent projects.
Say Marvels again.
I know, yeah. Glenn Weldon and Pop Filter Happy Hour made this joke too. There's a lot of Marvel in this next paragraph, so bear with us. So Brie Larson from Captain Marvel. Iman Vellani as Mrs. Marvel. Miss Marvel?
Ms. Marvel.
Ms. Marvel.
She's not.
She's not married.
There's no Mr. Marvel.
And Teyonah Parris as Photon from WandaVision. So these are 3 light-based superheroes from the Marvel catalog. And when Captain Marvel and Photon both touch rifts in space-time...
They touch rifts, you say?
Yeah, oh yeah. Their powers are entangled, causing them to switch places any time they use their powers. So they join forces to stop Dar-Benn,
Dar-Benn,
a Kree warlord, from destroying Earth. Of course, villain, destroying Earth, existential threat.
Heroes needed.
Incomprehensible villain name.
Yeah, right.
Here we go. We're here for another Marvel project.
We are.
So what do you think of the Marvels?
What did I think of the Marvels?
Marvel and Friends.
You know, as it has sat with me, I would say, you know, my feelings have been slightly more mixed on it, but overall, especially just walking out of the theater, and maybe some of it was just like we said earlier, we were excited to watch a Marvel movie together. I was fairly satisfied.
Yeah.
It actually, like, if the bar is scratching the itch, like the itch that Marvel usually scratches, you know, I mean, I love seeing the Avengers. Like, I love characters like the Hulk, you know, Spider-Man, characters I really, really love. Those are important. But Marvel still, through Ant-Man or whatever the hell, they scratch an itch.
Yeah.
And did this movie do that? I would end up, bottom line, saying yes. Like, it was a mixed bag as a film, but it was fun enough, light enough, had enough chemistry and good jokes and clever set pieces to land me in the category of, like, yeah, okay, I saw a Marvel movie and it was fun and box checked.
Yeah, I think you hit it pretty well there. When Marvel movies are working, they're doing 3 things. They're giving you fun, likable characters. They are going for a fun movie watching experience that is entertainment first and foremost. And then the third one is there's some element of heart in it, right? That you feel for the character and some kind of arc that they undergo throughout the movie.
Some
Overall,
emotional piece that is important.
yes. And so I think overall, this movie, it hit on those 3 things better than many of the recent Marvel movies and TV shows have done. It brought those things back to the fore, which I think is overall a good thing. Was it a home run? Maybe not. But I had a good time.
Yeah, definitely not a home run. And even on the third item, the emotionality, it like was clinging on for dear life.
Sure.
You know, respirator status.
Right.
But fun and entertaining. And what was the first one?
That it brings, like, your characters, like the characters that people love to see.
Yeah. It did. And arguably their chemistry was better at times than others, but it did. It took characters from 3 different properties and meshed them together pretty seamlessly.
This is a team up.
As
This
Marvel
is a team up
does.
movie.
Yeah, and they're good at that, you know, and
Yeah.
it shows, and they know what they're doing. So, yeah, you know, I would very much agree. In terms of an actual film, it was a bit sloppy,
Very much so.
a little all over the place, a little jarring sometimes in terms of the editing and pacing.
Yeah, that was noticeable. I think both of us came out of it feeling like the transitions between scenes were pretty messy. It would go from serious conversation between Monica Rambeau and Captain Marvel, and then it would immediately go into, like, plot Like, okay, we're trying to move the plot forward.
Right.
And it didn't leave a lot of time for those emotional beats to breathe.
Right.
Which it kind of let the air out of the balloon a little bit. It's like, okay, that is where it feels like, okay, you're just nominally including these emotional beats in the movie rather than really kind of letting the audience feel for these characters.
Or earning those beats in the first place.
Right. I think it was just a bit of a mixed bag. Like I think that some of it worked for me, but they didn't stick the landing.
And in terms of like the editing and stuff, I feel like there's a couple scenes that were really well edited, like the fight sequence in the living room.
Yes, that was a highlight.
Yeah, that was a total highlight. But then in terms of some of the flaws, so the editing played a huge part in the fact that they were all switching places.
Yeah.
Editing was used in some cases to great effect, as each of them would so there'd be 3 locations and they would each be in one of those locations and they would keep rotating.
Right.
You know?
3 concurrent fights.
Yeah.
Happening in 3 separate locations.
Right.
And the fighters are moving places.
Bingo. Thank you. What better said? So some of that was used to great effect, but sometimes I feel like the literal jumpy pace, and sometimes it wasn't even a fight sequence. Like sometimes they would literally just be swapping places and you'd have to follow where each one is. And so boom, editing, you're jumping from character to character. What I'm trying to say is I think some of the sloppiness and pacing issues in terms of editing kind of hid behind that whole shtick, basically. Yeah. Because some of those sequences worked really well, but then there was a scene where it's where they ended up with Dar-Benn at the end, and Monica and Miss Marvel ended up there because at the end it was actually Miss Monica Rambeau and Brie Larson. It was Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
They were standing there, and then Captain Marvel and Miss Marvel swapped, and then Captain Marvel flew back in super fast, but she was in another planet and she had been on Earth or something, so just some editing jumps that otherwise would have made no sense. I feel like that was hiding behind, switcheroo. Oh, they can move really fast. You know what I mean? It was almost...
I completely agree.
They leaned into that successfully sometimes, and other times it was
well, to me, the word that comes to mind is we often Marvel has really been diving in deep into this this multiversal concept, and so we've talked a lot about timey-wimey stuff. To me, this was spacey-wacy stuff.
Well said.
They were really just...
Teleporty-warty.
Yeah, they were hand-waving some of this away, which...
Yeah,
I'll be honest, yes, it actually did kind of stand out to me as well as we were watching. I was like, what? Wait, how did all 3 of them end up here? Exactly. But at the same time, it's as a Marvel audience goer, I'm willing to overlook some of that stuff, especially if you keep me along for the ride. If I'm having fun with what they're doing, I'm willing to overlook some of that stuff. The problem is that I think the halting nature of the editing made it so that I wasn't fully just on the roller coaster moving forward with them as the directors wanted me to be.
Right, I'm not just trying to take issue with the logistics of it. Yeah. I'm saying it drew attention to itself inadvertently.
Right.
Right.
And we both of us just watched a breakdown from one of the YouTube channels that does a frame by frame breakdown of these movies and stuff. And they talked a little bit about this, but it seems like there's a handful of places in the Marvels where they had additional scenes and they had some last minute cuts or editing changes, and so it just the final product doesn't quite capture a cohesive narrative arc. It does have some bigger plot, not just plot holes, but kind of bigger holes in the movie that draw attention to themselves, for sure.
And per usual, most of them are most of what's sacrificed feels like character beats.
Yeah.
As seems to be always. Having said that, I would say that while not a standout villain, really, I did feel like this villain was at least in some ways more fleshed out, or at least better fleshed out than like Gore the God Butcher.
Yeah.
I spent like a little more time understanding what had happened to her, why she was mad at Brie Larson, like what the deal was, what she was trying to accomplish ultimately, which was kind of pieced together through the Marvels uncovering it. But I kind of like, I knew what she wanted. It made sense. I understood it. You could empathize with it to some degree.
Yeah.
Then her plan kind of made sense, even if it ended up being Spaceballs. Shout out to the review we just watched. That was so funny.
Yeah.
At one point, the villain, for those who don't know, sucks the air out of this planet. And it became exactly that thing, if you've seen the movie Spaceballs, when there's a giant
Vacuum
maid
cleaner.
with a vacuum cleaner sucking the air out of Druidia.
Well, and let's
Suck.
be honest. I mean,
Suck.
it's the exact same plot point. That is
Yes.
what is driving this villain.
So it is.
I think we should at least just briefly go over this. The villain in the Marvels, she's a Kree warlord, and so Brie Larson as Captain Marvel has a history with the Kree.
If you know Ronan the Accuser, he was also a Kree warlord. He's from Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one. And yes, the Kree have appeared in several things, including the first Captain Marvel.
Yeah, so basically, Captain Marvel left their planet kind of a heaping ruin, is what it seems like, and so it's totally unlivable.
She made a boo-boo.
She made a big boo-boo, and so their planet is just destroyed, basically. So the villain is trying to go after the natural resources, the clean air, the clean water, and of course, most importantly, a sun, a working sun. And she's stealing these things from other planets. So that's her motivation. Where I come down on this is that I felt like it was a very good concept for a villain. Her motivation made sense and made a lot of sense. The performance was a little lacking.
Sure.
I wish that it had, I think that's an empathetic motive. There should be more room for me as the audience to empathize with kind of the plight of her and her people, but she in her delivery is so cartoonishly evil that I never really felt for her, even though I should, based on what actually happened.
I know what you're saying.
I felt for Brie Larson because she feels this guilt over what happened, but I think that kind of comes down to the performance, which I thought there was enough there for me to seize onto for Captain Marvel. I wish they'd done more.
There wasn't that much, yeah.
It was they were really just
Measly.
they were nominally hitting on these plot beats and then just keeping it moving forward. I really wish that they had more time to spend with these are very charismatic people, particularly Iman Vellani as Miss Marvel.
And the scene when it was addressed felt literally like it was a reshoot thing.
Yeah.
They walked out of their spaceship for no reason at all into this big wheat field.
We need to have a conversation now.
In a wheat field.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they somehow did manage to make Iman Vellani slightly annoying.
Which is incredible to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were some missed opportunities in this movie, for sure. I thought Monica Rambeau got the least amount of screen time, probably.
She did. I found her to be charismatic and interesting.
She was good. There just wasn't enough of her, I don't think.
Yeah.
For a movie like this, when you bring together these three characters, I wanted more of the three of them together as a team up.
Yeah. The highlight was the switching stuff. They played a lot of that to successful effect. And we should talk about, there was a very bold choice for a location and also just a direction to take the Captain Marvel character. She ended up needing to go to this planet that was basically a musical planet.
Yeah.
They communicated via song. Yeah, they speak in song.
I loved this. I loved
Me
this.
too. And you got to see a different side of Brie Larson. It felt like a very self-referential, self-aware thing that was commenting on how kind of stiff and stoic she was in the first movie, and the honestly sexist backlash just to her as that character in general, and strong women, this and that, like bothered all the incels.
It completely softened her up as a character, this musical planet.
Yes, and it was very fun to watch.
Very
and the
fun.
musical concept was just hilarious to watch play out.
And it made sense. It was like a perfect usage of Iman Vellani, I thought, because of like the reference to Bollywood and stuff as well. They like all of the people on this planet were doing choreographed dances and stuff, and she just looked so in her element.
And for the Miss Marvel character, like you pointed out, after we saw the movie, watching Brie Larson do all this silly stuff, watching Captain Marvel do all this silly stuff when she is normally so stoic, Monica Rambeau kept turning to Miss Marvel and being like, "Oh, like this is some good fan fiction shit, huh?" Yeah. So
very, very self-referential. Yeah. I thought it was an excellent addition. I'm sure that lots of sweaty nerds are going to be mad about it for whatever reason.
100%, because it's a musical in my Marvel movie.
Oh, it was so funny. Come on. Like, these are supposed to be fun. These are supposed to be fun movies. It's not that serious. They're comic books.
No, it's funny.
Why is that any more ridiculous than the other stuff they throw in these movies?
It's not, yeah.
So we both enjoyed that. There's a lot of wacky stuff in this movie. How about should we talk about Goose and the
Flurkin?
The Flurkins?
Yeah, sure. They're
So
wacky.
So for those of you who have watched the first Captain Marvel movie, you'll remember the cat that has these tentacles that emerge from its mouth. They're called Flurkins.
Technically, it has a pocket dimension inside of its belly, and so it can consume large things and large amounts of large things.
Yeah, so Goose reappears in this movie, and is apparently pregnant, and so by the end of it, you get just hundreds of these Flurkins on this space station that is falling apart. So they all need to evacuate, and there's this great scene where these hundreds of cats are just like one by one chasing down these poor workers on the space station.
Did you explain that? So they only have like a limited number of escape pods.
Yeah.
They have like 2 escape pods and all these people on this space station. And so they realize...
Like hundreds or thousands of space cadets.
Yeah. At least hundreds. And so what they need to do is, because these cats, these Flurkin, can consume so much in their little pocket dimension belly, they basically have to be eaten by the cats, because you can stick like 50 cats in an escape pod as opposed to like all these people.
Right.
So if you just get eaten by the cat, the best part for me is the voiceover. Like there's a guy speaking on like the loudspeaker in the whole place.
Don't run.
Yeah. Stop running. Let the Flurkin eat you. And they're like, ah!
Well, and they're doing this all over the song Memory from the musical Cats, the Andrew Lloyd Webber musical, which I thought was just a perfect touch.
It was a little sillier, but it was like
silly.
of the James Gunn ilk
silly.
almost.
Yeah.
You know, it reminded me of something that James Gunn would have like come up with.
For sure.
Or like a set piece that he would have set to like a song like that.
Yeah.
He probably wouldn't have been quite so on the nose. He would have been more like some 70s track, but you know, it was really good. It was really good. It's like that just shows, you know, Marvel has learned from itself.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of stuff. They've built that kind of stuff. I feel like they can crank that out just like it's nothing now. You know, they're like, we've done this 1,000 times. This will entertain you. Watch. Cat monsters eating everybody.
I loved it. I did. And the other scene that really sticks out to me, we talked a little bit about the choreography and the fight choreography when they're switching places in the living room. But I also loved the training montage that they did, where the three of them are trying to get a sense when they're switching places, like how they can use that in a battle setting. And so they have this fantastic training montage. And in particular, there's this one part where they're trying to do the jump rope.
Double Dutch.
They're doing double Dutch, and one person has to jump in the middle. And it was just so well done. I loved it.
Yeah. And also the juggling.
Yeah.
That was edited in there. It was good. It was good. I thought Samuel L. Jackson was pretty hilarious.
He had some great one-liners.
He added a nice fun touch.
Carol.
Yeah. Oh, it's Carol. Oh, good, it's Carol. Like, he's so worried because they were falling. He's like, oh, no, they're not going to. Oh, good, it's Carol.
I love that.
Yeah. No, it, for all our gripes about it, like,
I had a good
laughed
time.
a lot.
I had a good time.
It checked the box, right? 6.5 out of 10. 6.5 out of 10. But it checked the box.
I'd give it a bonus half point and call it a 7.
Maybe so. If I liked it if I cared about the characters as much as I care about the ones in The Flash, I'd probably admit that it's about the same.
Yeah.
Fun mess.
I think, I would rather have a movie like this that is having fun and that I want more than a movie that is so worried about messing up that I am like, ugh, like, don't play so safe. Like,
totally.
And so, I wanted more out of this, which is I feel like that's a reasonable criticism. I would rather have that.
Yeah, compared to Thor Dark World or Quantumania or whatever, and Thor Love and Thunder didn't play it safe. That is
true.
Zany.
That is true.
But I would say, honestly, for me, since Multiverse of Madness, which again had its flaws, it's like the most fun I had in a Marvel movie, probably. Since then, for me.
Yeah, that could be it. That could be right.
You really got to finish Loki, my friend.
I do.
It's a wonderful ending. It's like, it's so fitting for the season, for the show as a whole, for the Loki character. Really good. The best thing that has happened in the phases post Endgame is Loki. And I used to like WandaVision better.
Yeah.
And you convinced me that Loki season 1 was so amazing. And I've rewatched it like 3 times now because you kept saying how good it was. And it really is. And the second season just caps it, and you gotta finish it. Like, I was so pleased with exactly where they took things emotionally, just in terms of plot and cool comic booky shit. Just really good. Really good.
The writing is a step above other Marvel works.
Particularly TV. Marvel TV is
for sure
poopy.
Yeah.
So
Michael Waldron's a good one. He's a keeper.
Yeah. Did he have a hand in Multiverse of Madness? He did.
Yeah.
So, and it's not bad. So
definitely
could be worse. All right. We will leave it there. Leave us a like, like
and subscribe. Hit that bell.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess we are on YouTube, technically.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
I think nobody, not even one person listens on YouTube.
Maybe you could be the first listener.
That's right. Yeah, you're the first one. You made it to the end of a bunch of shitheads talking about Marvel movies.
See you next time. We'll be talking about another one.
Later.